And welcome, it's Andrew speaking from Always Andrew Wedding Design. I've had a couple of busy weeks, so I've not been able to pop on as live as much as I would have liked to, but I wanted to pick up back today with my A to Z wedding planning and talk to you about art for receptions. So obviously when you're planning your wedding, the reception is quite a big deal. And sort of traditionally, you have your typical format, top table and round table, and then sort of all your guests sitting along on round tables. But today I really wanted to talk about kind of what the alternative options are. I love working with couples that really want to mix it up and they don't necessarily want to stick to the kind of standard top table round and then sort of guests on round table formation. But maybe when you come to sort of the beginning of your planning journey, maybe people think that is the only option, but actually it's not. There's lots and lots of other things that you can do. So I thought we'd just go through what they are. So the first kind of easy, still keeping that similar format, sit down meal, and you obviously still want to seat all your guests. So the first thing to consider, actually, you can have square sort of long tables now. Long tables are really increasing in popularity, and I'm a big fan of long tables, as you'll find many wedding planners are, because they give you lots of scope for kind of obviously decorating it. But I think what's really nice about a square table is that the guests are quite close together, so it's quite easy to talk across a sort of trestle table. They're kind of standard widths are normally sort of between 2 and 3 feet, and it's got quite a nice way for guests to kind of sort of talk and interact with each other. So that can be really nice. So you can have a section of long tables, and also what's quite good with long tables is you're not limited by say 10 or 12 people per table. You can actually make your long tables as long as your venue will let you, really. So you can have quite long venues. I can see I have some couple of live viewers, but unfortunately I can't see who's joining me, so sorry. So long table gives you that lovely flexibility of being able to kind of fill the space in kind of alternative ways and kind of create the size tables that you want, so you're not kind of tied into your sort of just standard sort of 8 to 10 people on a round table. That can be really nice. We did once a wedding as well where it was a kind of smallish wedding, only had about 60 guests, and the original plan, I think the guests did drop. They'd originally it was going to be a bigger guest list, but then they kind of, by the end of it, we only had about sort of 60 guests. And we literally had one big long table, and it was amazing. It was just really lovely. So every guest felt they was just all sitting together, and the bride and groom sat with them, and it's such a really kind of all-encompassing way of having your guests at a table. So really do love that way of doing it. Also don't feel that you have to have a top table. Top table, it's slightly kind of dated thing. I think it's kind of very much putting you on show, but maybe you actually want to be more integrated with your guests. So I think don't be afraid to consider sitting on your own table, either be that around or one of the long tables. Don't be afraid to do that. That works really nicely. It can also be quite a handy tip if you've got maybe still your family dynamics aren't traditional dynamics. So you might have parents that maybe want to host their own tables and then you sit at the table with your guests. So that works really well. And then the other, again, you can go for a sweetheart table, and that could be quite cute if you can't decide who you want to sit with. So you can have like your own table just for the two of you. And you can get quite nice. So I recently did that where we had a half moon table, and that worked really well. So it still felt very much the guests. They were kind of close to their guests without being too separate from their guests, and that worked really nicely. And then what if you don't actually want a sit-down meal? Or maybe you don't want the traditional 3-course sit-down meal. I think it's quite nice to think of different serving options. So I think what works really nicely is kind of the family-style dining, and that works so well. So you can have like the food all kind of served to the table, and then guests kind of help themselves. That can be quite a nice kind of, again, bringing all your guests together, sort of digging into the food, sharing it well, and it feels less formal, feel a bit more relaxed, and that's what can be a really nice vibe. You can also do some quite fun things with that. You can have like a designated carver for each table, or someone that kind of does something that like designates their role on that table. I think family style dining works really beautifully on any kind of style table, really round or circular. And then maybe you don't actually want to sit down at all, you want maybe really kind of make it a lot more relaxed. Another kind of nice option is to do sort of a combination of food stations. That can work really well. So maybe like different tables have different types of food. We did a sort of a travel themed wedding once where each food station was like a different kind of type of food. So we had like a Mexican, a curry station, and I think we had like an all-American burger bar sort of thing. So that can be really fun. Food stalls are quite popular now, more kind of a festival vibe, relaxed vibe at your wedding. So that could be another, again, alternative to maybe a food station, have actually kind of a food stall come in, and then guests can really help themselves. And then the seating in that case can be a lot more loose. You can maybe still have your kind of tables head out, but kind of guests go up, help themselves, and then bring it down to the table, sort of really kind of seat where they want to sit. One of the beauty of the sort of free seating option is you've not got the slight worry of doing a table plan. I know that could be quite a tricky one for a lot of people, having to work out who's going to sit where. So if you have that sort of free seating option, quite informal seating, maybe even just have like combination of different types of seating works quite well, that. And then another one that kind of goes hand in hand with the food stations, you could do sort of like a bowl food options. Bowl food options work really well. What I've kind of sometimes done before, we have like maybe a combination. So if you are going to have food station, maybe still have a served bowl food, because then that way you're not everyone rushing to the food station, so they are getting some food served to them. Or you can completely go down the bowl food route and just have lots of nice bowl food coming out. What you do need with that is lots of kind of regularly different foods coming out for guests, so they don't feel like they're being hard done by not getting as much food. So you can really mix it up and have lots of different ways of doing your reception. Don't feel tied to doing it in the very traditional way. You don't have to have round tables. You could have square tables, rectangle tables. You can even mix up a bit of both. I've seen that done really well, where maybe some people on rounds, some people on rectangles, and kind of just make it feel a bit more homely, a bit more kind of comfortable, and I think that can work really well. And yes, you don't have to be on show, you don't have to have the top table, you can kind of integrate yourselves in amongst your guests. So hopefully that's given you some alternative options for your reception, wedding reception, and that's different ideas to mull up and think about, and hope you found that useful. It's been lovely chatting, and do catch me next time. Take care. Bye.